available. It's going to be a tough one, but I cannot wait to jump into our finals of week 1 between Alutemu and Glory, the 2 best players I think we've seen in APAC this week. You know, Surrender, we didn't get to see all too much of him getting demolished by Give Please. So these 2, I think for the moment, are sharing the crown.
Already though, such interesting mulligan decisions for Glory. When I played this game against Priest, I just kept Hanar because it's just such a good card that not many classes have an immediate answer to. Then I remember Priest runs the Scorpid, and that's a terrible card to match up Hanar into, especially if Glory doesn't even have a secret to immediately get the value off of it. But if you have the secret with Hanar, then you kind of don't necessarily want the Sparkjoy cheat right away. Glory instead going for higher attack and prioritizing cycle with the Sparkjoy cheat. And I think that already goes to show that the mindset for this rogue is a bit different compared to other matchups.
Already finding the watch post though, which I think is definitely one of the things he will be most aggressively looking for in this matchup. I don't know if it'll necessarily be a coin into watch post, even though that's the way to make it the most survivable, because this Sparkjoy cheat I think definitely wants to come down ASAP. But who am I to say?
I mean, faster you disrupt, and also the faster you get this on board, so that Alutemu, if he is going to play a minion into this, it can't straight away attack and then clear off the watch post the turn the watch post was played. I can definitely see the reasoning for that. It will mean that Glory has to just dagger this turn though, because I don't think you want to give up your cycle with the Sparkjoy cheat.
Yeah, the 2 options are either dagger or bluff with the secret, because there is a copy of Bamboozle in the list. And again, he doesn't know that there's an apotheosis on the other side. I'm kind of erroneously assuming he has full information here. But if he is afraid of it dying, he could go for ambush to bluff Bamboozle to make it so it's a little bit less likely for Alutemu to just slam the apotheosis and trade in. I think he will just end up on the dagger though. But again, I'm wrong.
Looking at it again, the bluff that you pointed out was a really good point on top of this actually just being an ambush. So if there's another minion, Glory has board presence. That combined with the fact that he has Mancrick, which is a turn play that's not necessarily Sparkjoy cheat, makes this a lot more interesting. Alutemu now has information that this is not dirty tricks. So from this point, it is just either Bamboozle or ambush.
Yeah.
Bamboozle's a 1-of in their list, so you can take the more likely outcome here of just trading into the watch post, but tough to say. 5-cost minions are so scary right now.
Exactly. If it bumps in and it just happens to be, I mean, it doesn't even have to be 6 attack. It just has to have above 4 health, and things start going pretty wrong here for the Priest.
Quickly.
But at the same time, what if it's not? It was a card that was randomly drawn. He calls Glory's bluff here, and he is more than rewarded for it. This is a fantastic start for Alutemu.
Huge. Means Glory has to Blackjack Stunner this. It's off curve, but the Mancrick just lines up so poorly against that Sethic, and at least Glory gets to fit in the Swindle and maybe find a secret so the Sparkjoy cheat can get some work done. Alutemu now knows this is ambush, which means that just Sethic feels pretty bad.
Yeah, he could throw it down just to get it out of the way. Like, he's obviously setting up for a Xyrella at some point in the near future, and if one of these Sethics dies, I don't think he's especially upset about that.
Sure.
And this, obviously, having the secret out of the way means that no more stunner nonsense can happen later on as well.
And this is where Glory can really start to ramp up the pressure. Whether it's with the Marshawn watch post, I guess it's wrong to call this pressure, but just complete board dominance. Alternatively, the Mancrick, just get that online, start attacking face, is also looking pretty strong. The big kicker is just the fact that he has Jandas next turn and the board is already his this turn. Yeah. As far as a poison sticking means that Alutemu is really going to have to rely on this Xyrella.
And he can't make it work quite yet. Again, the classic problem of nothing being damaged enough to make it work. But that desperate prayer he has in hand, I think will definitely come into effect in a large way next turn, assuming that Glory attacks face and plays Jandas, which looks like it'll be the play. There's potent clears to be had aplenty here.
Because Alutemu has that Zyrella setup, we could see him just hold off on clearing this board because he has, you know, Hysteria for either full clear or just the 1-2 left. And I think that Alutemu, whether or not he plays the Hysteria, he can fit in palm reading first, so I like starting with that. Renew is pretty nice with Zyrella.
Yeah, that was a tough choice because Renew is like the best card to just take and vacuum. Because specifically Kazakus, I was kind of tempted to see Shadow World Ruin because like Divine Shield copy, Stealth copy on the 5-mana golems is a fairly common occurrence to see. But I guess if he had Kazakus, it would have come down on turn 4 anyway, so this feels perfectly reasonable.
And Glory, as somebody who has played this Priest as well, has to be thinking, am I safe to drop this Jandice here? There's actually a very, very genius play he could go for of Jandice and don't attack. But I don't know if it goes that deep. We have caster vision, we can see the Zyrella. I wonder if Glory's gonna go for it.
If he goes Jandice, no attack, I will lose my mind.
The Moonfang is really good to have full health on. So even though you lose a potential frenzy on this taunt, Moonfang being AoE proof is too tempting to give up, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a very, very big deal.
And that means now that Glory, I think, is saying if you don't have the Zyrella, then of course I would have rather attacked. And even if you did have the Zyrella, at least I have my Moonfang surviving.
Right, it does open up the possibility of Hysteria this turn. It doesn't have to be Zyrella at all, because Hysteria on the Moonfang, as long as it can dodge the poison minion for a little while, seems okay.
Does seem pretty strong, huh? But if you miss that outcome, there's a minimum of what? Well, if you got the worst possible outcome, there's 10 damage coming back the other way.
Right.
Bit too scary. Alutemu goes for interesting Condemn instead.
Okay. I mean, accepting that there's not that much damage left on the board, it's not just game losing instantly, and then you can utilize the fact that the wolf is on the board on the other side with Hysteria to clear.
Right, this is such a cool spot. I mean, he does give up his Sethic, but it gets value in the meantime. Gets the full board clear and has the Zyrella combo still in hand. Really nicely done from Alutemu. But Glory still has quite a lot of follow-up here. Secret Passage can keep him cycling next turn if he doesn't just want to play Kargal for 2 posts.
Powerful plays starting to come through for Alutemu. He just needs to overcome these little waves of threats for Glory, and then he can start really turning things around. Like having a Nixia here to spawn the whelps every turn, that's kind of difficult for Glory to deal with.
Priest, I feel, really relies on the Draconic Studies to give it board presence, because the deck is largely focused on just clearing your boards one after the other. Can't necessarily close out the game, but he has that problem solved with the Onyxia. And also Alexstrasza, that's really, really powerful. We see players in Europe including that in their rogue lists.
Yeah, just shooting a minion for 8 damage, a very, very big deal. To try and clear off this board, especially when it's that single target removal that Priest is really lacking. That really fills a much needed gap in their armor.
Oh, I wonder if Glory doesn't attack here, because 4 damage. I mean, Alutemu only has 4 damage on his hero right now. But okay, if Glory's gonna stuff the Kargal, sure, he can bait 1 Zyrella now.
Yeah, I think you're not too sad to see that.
Alutemu was being rather greedy with the Zyrella for this exact situation. The Kargal, the cleanest clear is with Zyrella herself, because even Samuro Apotheosis is not enough.
Yep, Zyrella and then following up with the Insight just looks very clean on this turn. I don't think you can really get away with anything else like Alexstrasza. Samuro doesn't get the job done.
Agreed. I was thinking if there's anything funny you can do with Elucia, because the dragons cost more in Glory's hand, but no, probably not worth it.
Ooh, okay, that's all right.
That's
Fill out your
perfect.
mana. Yeah.
That's insane.
Ooh, that rally is very tempting to me right now. Getting back a Sethic and a Poisonous Scorpid is great board control for just 4 mana.
Insane. And I can't overstate how good that Scorpid off Insight is here. I think it means that Glory's Kargal is already 1/5/5 down. But maybe the 3/5/5 still gets there. We could see as far as even just Alexstrasza to remove one of these. Alutemu has quite enough health to play with, I think, for something like that. Irela then kills the Watch Post.
I'm even wondering if you end up with Focused Will just to like buff the health on your Alexstrasza or your Zyrella. Maybe the heal is probably just a little bit too efficient, and you can save the versatility of Focused Will.
I'm wondering if you can ever get away with Onyxia, but oh man, I don't know. 15 damage on the board is too scary. What if they have Kazakus? Then they can immediately play the 5-cost Golem. But Alutemu's a gamer.
It's how he's been playing it consistently throughout this tournament, right? It's getting your own minions on the board. Get ahead, force the rogue to trade. Because, you know, 15 damage to the face, obviously big deal for Glory, but it's not turn 10, so Wicked Stab isn't upgraded to 6 damage. There's no Pen Flingers in the list. There's no danger of Alutemu dying here.
True. The worst would be the 5/5 Golem for +2 across the board, which is still not available. And the Golem is too expensive at the moment, but if we see a freeze effect here, nope. Oh, wait, Snap Freeze. Yeah, that's good enough, right? Because really, the Onyxia is the only big problem here if Apotheosis hits it. To a certain extent, Zyrella, but I don't think it warrants the 5/5 trading into it. Glory has to start pushing face.
Oh my god, doesn't even want the Kazakus here. I wonder what he's digging for specifically.
Plunderer, I guess.
Yeah, Plunderer, maybe Blackjack Stunner as well.
Does he ship one of these stabs face now? I like the idea of that. Next one that he had in his original hand will deal 6. It's all coming down to the wire. Can Alutemu find Apotheosis for this Blade Master?
It would be such a big deal. He just needs any way to heal right now, and he can pull this one back.
Can still clear, right, with the Condemn rank 3. He has just enough whelps to kill off these 5/2s after a Condemn. And then the Onyxia will just immediately refill. Man, new Onyxia is nuts.
It's pretty crazy if it sticks. I'm wondering if you can do anything fancier than that. Like, can you get a rally to be good for you here? I guess the whelps are just good enough to fill up the board every turn. As long as you're not dying to burst, which he won't be, he's fine.
The Holy Nova is so clutch. I forgot about Bamboozle. Alutemu was smartly testing for it first, but like Glory had that small insurance against Condemn rank 3. But now the Holy Nova means that everything is swept up nicely. And he is so far out of range.
Just so clutch. And then as soon as there's a turn of slow development from Glory, you slam the Alexstrasza, rally, Blade Master. The threats start coming in thick and fast for Alutemu, and I do not think Glory can keep up with it right now.
I think he needs Kazakus this turn into a 10 drop, but he doesn't have time. There's a Onyxia on the board. Can bounce it.
Yeah, if he could get Mancrick's wife, then maybe we'd be talking then.
Maybe. Is Reckoning good here? Just because the Onyxia? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's most likely to kill it off, but then you still have to tank 8 damage and it just frees up a board slot.
Probably not good enough. Or are you gonna do his best here and is stepping the Hanar for a full secret turn on the follow-up. Alutemu nowhere near being able to deliver lethal, but I think he has this in the bag as long as he plays carefully.
Yep, just got to not walk
into Entity, yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, don't just slam Alexstrasza and pray that that's good enough. Things will go badly.
So I think Glory has accomplished this necessarily being a slow turn for Alutemu if he wants to play around both Counterspell and Mirror Entity. Oh, he's thinking about... Wow. Wow. He's just giving Alex to the other side. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, he gets Wicked Stab here, which is huge. Hanar, obviously a massive deal.
True. So true. I actually think he doesn't play the Hanar. I think he plays everything but the Hanar. And
we can just play it at the end, right?
Yeah. Sure. Right. What I meant was you don't get the secret train from him.
Yes. Agreed.
And he's even deliberately not drawing with the Spark to cheat, so it doesn't return to Glory's hand.
Yep, super smart ordering on the Alusha. He's done this more than once before, I have the suspicion. And now, even if Glory wants to go for what Alexstrasza face is just the most aggressive play he can make on this turn, no Wicked Stab means that it's not even going to become close to lethal, given that he can see all these powerful threats. 3 of the 5 powerful starting dragons for Glory are in Alutemu's hand.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you just deleted this Ysera from the hand, the Alex was a play because technically Alutemu would only have 6 attack on board, and the hand that will return to Alutemu doesn't give him immediate additional damage other than Samuro, which could not frenzy into an Alexstrasza. But because Glory drew the Ysera, which he knows will return to Alutemu's hand, if he just goes Alex here, then Alutemu can easily just Ysera and dream that back and check that play. So... yeah.
Yeah. Onyxia then, I guess, is maybe your best opportunity. At least you can trade in.
Time may pass, but the dream is eternal.
Oh. Can put the Hanar back in his own hand next turn? I don't know if that's a thing.
Or he could put Alusha back in his own hand, right? Like that's kind of something, at least.
Yeah. No, I think that's the play, right? Because he doesn't even have a secret right now. Oh man, it's too much. I'm too confused.
Right, yeah. I mean, in all honesty, like, Alusha, I kind of give it this mythical state of just being weird, and I kind of assume it will be able to get the job done. I don't think that even stealing an Alusha hand from your opponent would have been enough to win the game. If they just slam Onyxia, Alusha, whatever here on this board, there was nothing in their hand that would have effectively answered that, I don't think.
Yeah, if he got Alusha back in his own hand, then all Alutemu has to do on this theoretical turn is play all the cheap stuff, so Glory couldn't have a good Alusha. But now Glory needs... I don't even know what Chain of Secrets can get him out of this one.
Yeah, none as I see it. We need Kazakus pronto.
At least he drew a secret. Freezing, but he can't quite isolate the Alex at the moment. Maybe Wand Thief lets you do that?
Mm-hmm. You're at the point where Ice Barrier is like kind of needed just to stay alive to buy you the time for Kazakus.
That never wins him the game though, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, he needs this Wand Thief to give him brain... Okay, never mind. I really thought he would have to look for a way to kill the Alusha just so the freezing has a small prayer of doing something relevant.
Yeah, he could have gone for like freeze rank 3 to at least stop these minions from attacking face, and maybe his Hanar will stick around for a turn. Like, he knows Ysera Awakens is in hand. He knows that there are ways to silence it if nothing else.
I think he just went for full mess with Alutemu play, which is, you know, if this were a lesser player than Alutemu, I completely respect it. But I think that Alutemu will work out the best way to get rid of the Hanar without giving Glory too much benefit off these secrets.
Oh, great. He gets to replay Alusha here.
Okay, there's that. And now there's Rogue and 2 Paladin secrets. Has to be aware of Galloping and Oh My Yogg. Yeah,
that's
Oh My Yogg with the wave. Okay.
Perfectly good way to start. I mean, he will ideally play a third spell here to test for Galloping Savior as well, assuming he's going to go for the
Awaken.
Ysera Awakens at the end, yeah.
You go Focused Will to proc the pony, and then go for Awakens, and with Laughing Sister, something like that.
Yeah. Just clear all this up, and I think you will be just fine. It is only the Kazakus that is left as a problem for Alutemu, and even that, I feel like it's going to be just that little bit too slow before it gets the job done.
Okay, if he can pick up... That's pretty funny. Mantrick triggering explosive. If he can pick up... the spell damage just doesn't work because he doesn't have spells. It's like I was thinking he can get something from the One Thief, but he needs the One Thief right now to survive. Although maybe the Prize Plunderer can do that job. Ring Toss? Oh, it's probably just Counterspell because he can't corrupt the Ring Toss anymore. So it's Counterspell, Prize Plunderer, Dagger, and then you go for Kazakus into 5-cost Golem for the double +2/+2, for the +2/+2.
Okay.
If by some miracle your board sticks.
That's as good a plan as any. I'm definitely on board with that as opposed to anything else. That sounds like the most reasonable one. Again, he has Counterspell in place, so like it's not the easiest task to clear this board necessarily, but it's not the hardest task either.
Yeah. If you have both Counterspell and Oh My Yogg in play, theoretically, any played spell will proc them both, right? The Yogg will transform it and then it gets Counterspelled.
Right.
How that works?
If the Yogg was played first, yeah, it would go in the bad order.
So, yeah, all Alutemu had to do there was just play a spell to test, and then Samuro Apotheosis will just make him safe enough. It's not a full clear, but he's safe.
Oh, way too much, I think, at this point for Glory to overcome. Like, look at all of this. Even with an even bigger Enraged Mancrick than we're used to seeing per normal. Still too much.
Can Glory go for 10-drop copy stealth? I don't think he has time.
Just dead, yeah.
He's just dead.
Throws it down. Glory taking a unfortunate loss there, but to be honest, an expected one. I think in the Priest versus Rogue, again, I'm sure that there are plenty of Rogue players who would argue that you can get the win consistently by going for an aggressive start, high amounts of burst damage at the end, but it just feels like when you're up against a Priest player at the caliber of Alutemu, he just doesn't give you any opportunity to stick board, to get damage. He beautifully plays around the secrets, never falls into those traps. So nice.
It was just so well done, so clean, and everything from how he held on to Zyrella at the beginning because it's kind of earmarked for the Kargal board, and instead used a very not obvious Hysteria interaction with the Moonfang post-Condemn to get the full clear and still manage to eke value out of Sethic. I just could go on and on about how well Alutemu has been playing. If you look at his expression, I think there was one turn towards the end where he wasn't super happy when Glory had the just Hail Mary with the Hanar secrets, but even his not optimized instincts gave him enough of a window to win that game.
Yeah, it's just... you can tell, even his instincts, which have been so finely owned, are just bang on the money. I feel like he always spots the correct play within like the first 5 seconds of a turn, and then just spends all his time trying to optimize it and find an even better way to approach the turn than you may have otherwise seen. But now it's going to be the other way around, at least for, I think actually just straight up the other way around, with Alutemu on the Secret Rogue here. Again, the exact same list we saw from Glory, and then Glory is going to be on the Priest. Once again, the exact same list we saw from Alutemu. So it's just a straight up reverse, and if Glory can't win this one, you're gonna be pretty annoyed after that one, it's fair to say.
Certainly, but maybe he could just give Alutemu a run for his money the exact other way around. Now that I look at the matchup closer and closer, and I've seen more experienced Priest players go at it, I tend to think that Priest might have a bit of an edge here.
Yeah.
They simply have more discovery ability with the palm readings and the Scorpids and the Draconic Studies mainly to give you one of those finisher dragons. You don't necessarily need to run them in your list because you can get them pretty consistently with the studies these days, as it turns out. Raised Dead also, of course, with Sethic and One-Maker. That's an interaction we knew about for quite some time now. So as long as the Priest does not get carried away with the removal too early, I think they have what it takes to fatigue Rogue pretty consistently.
Yeah, definitely. We are living in a post-Lackey world, and Rogue is feeling it so heavily. Like, in the old versions, if you needed to go for a high-value plan, you could step your Miscreants, play a bunch of them, discover a bunch of dragons, spells to bounce your Miscreants back even more. You just had so much value in the deck, whereas this version of Rogue, for the most part, what you see is what you get. You can discover a few mage spells with the Wand Thief, but they rarely offer much more outside of a bit of removal or burst if you're lucky in the matchup.
That's right. And if you just line up the threats from Rogue into the removal package from Priest, Priest has enough tools there run naturally. For Cargill, you have Zyrella, Flash Heal, something along those lines. For Jandis, you have Condemn/Hysteria. And from that point on, you just need to make sure you're not using the wrong removal for the wrong threat.
Kind of interesting that Alutemu is in essentially the exact same situation as well that Glory was in at the start of last game, where he can coin Watch Post, but it would mean delaying the Sparkjoy cheat for a turn. He seems decidedly less certain than Glory was as to how you should approach this early game, because Glory slammed the Watch Post down, but Alutemu here taking his sweet time about it.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm thinking differently about this, but now I'm more into the Sparkjoy cheat. Maybe it's because Rogue lost the last game.
I mean, I was always on with the plan, even last game, of delaying the Watch Post by a turn. And, I mean, weirdly enough, again, it's going to be Watch Post into Apotheosis buff for minion to clear it off. We're living in some weird time loop here, I think.
It is the perfect mirror, indeed. Problem is, Alutemu doesn't have Bamboozle. He has a bluff for it, sure. So I think it still ends up being Watch Post here, because next turn you have the guaranteed Sparkjoy coin Blackjack Stunner as a play, even if this does get Apotheosed down.
True. Oh wow, he's not even going for the kill here.
Interesting.
Really? Glory's so weird with the way he plays this. Like, he coins Watch Post because he's like, oh, Watch Post is the most important card against Priest. Get it down as soon as possible. And then he's given a clear and just doesn't even want to take it.
I mean, technically the Scorpid is a clear that also gives him more presence on board.
Right,
it's not for Rogue to get rid of both of these, but I agree that it feels a bit counterintuitive to what he was doing last game.
Very strange indeed. But either way, Alutemu is off to a real nice start now. He's got himself the draw, obviously, with Dirty Tricks in place, Sparkjoy going. He can even step it again in the later turns if he really needs to here. And Glory has a hand that can survive very happily for the moment, but it's not doing the locking down of the board. Again, he doesn't run Ogremancers in his deck, hasn't found Zyrella to swing ahead on the board. It's a very reactive hand.
And you can see by this trade that he was respecting Bamboozle, because there was technically a clear there if he had traded into the 3-3 and then Hysteria the Watch Post, but that loses big time if the secret is Bamboozle. He now knows that it is Dirty Tricks after this minion gets played and the ambush does not go off.
Am I crazy for wanting Psych Split here? I feel like the rest of his hand is so heavy on removal and is going to be able to like find even more removal. Like with Draconic Studies in hand, if you can stick a Dragonmaw Skystalker or you know, a big Taunt Dragon later on or whatever, you could at least copy it and start getting ahead on the board.
I definitely don't think that's crazy. It's certainly ambitious because this board looks flimsy at the moment and the studies are expensive, but I can see where your head's at because the wave certainly does look a bit redundant with this hand.
So many options.
Alutemu The Scorpion is once again very annoying. I wonder if this is ever like a step the Spark Joy play after it value trades just to keep the cycle going, but it leaves the Scorpion alive.
Yeah, I feel like with this particular build of the deck, I'm a little bit more willing to just play out Wicked Stab, which is I think what he's going for here. And then you can dagger it down, take value trades, keep the minion protected here, most importantly, in the watch post. And what looked like what was going to be a very easy guaranteed clear for Glory on the watch post has gone kind of disastrously wrong, as it is now the third card being made more expensive and showing no signs of slowing either.
Right, this is a big conundrum. Obviously, Glory's play still had its upsides, because if he had gone for the Apotheosis into Watch Post trade, then Alutemu would have still done that Sparkjoy Blackjack turn, and Glory would have not had the Scorpion in play to potentially kill something off for a long time. But he would have had many cheaper cards. This feels to me like a Draconic is going to come down purely because he has nothing better to do.
Consider.
Yeah, it does feel like he's been deliberately not playing spells though for a while, with you know, him having figured out that it is, I think at this point, exactly Dirty Tricks. It's probably too enticing, you're right, at the end of it all, but he's not going to be happy about filling his opponent's hand up again now.
The one thing he can kind of rest on at least though is that if Alutemu does play more minions, that makes his Hysteria better. And Hysteria really is the only clear he has at the moment. Ooh, Kazakus. But another post?
Yeah, I do think it's a good time to go for Hernan now, right? You have a board already in play. It just makes it a little bit more awkward to clear if you can, at the very least, threaten Oh My Yogg, even if you don't actually have it. Just makes it that little bit tougher for your opponent to keep up the value.
Always thinking about Hysteria here, and to be fair, big watch post probably makes Hysteria even better for Glory. Right. This one, with the Noble Sack, I think makes it a bit hard for Hanar to die to Hysteria, assuming that Glory targets the watch post. And I like that he's just kept the Shadow Step for Kazakus. I think this is definitely one of those matchups where you can try and get 2 of the 5 costs, or even a 5 and a 10. Testing Oh My Yogg.
Yeah, testing and seeing if you can find anything better. Some pretty good options here, actually. I'm interested in both Plague and Insight. Obviously, you're looking for Samuro, Zyrella. He goes with the third option entirely of Desperate Prayer. Did not see that coming.
Yeah, I wanted the Insight just to, you know, fill out his mana pretty nicely. Okay, I thought that would trigger Noble Sack, but that's my mistake.
Yeah, it's weird how that works. Like, it doesn't trigger Noble Sacrifice, but it does trigger Oasis Ally. If you do it with Hysteria, just precise wording on the cards.
Right, if an enemy attacks is what it says on Noble, I assume. Which is, it fits with the flavor, you know?
Yeah, if an enemy attacks you, I'm jumping in the way. If Keith attacks you, you're dead, alright? He's a blooming psycho.
You're on your own.
I'm not going up against him.
Oh, Divine Shield looks good. Ooh, the card draw looks good, but so does the Grom's Blood. Always looks good with the Divine Shield.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Alutemu not going to immediately step the Kazakus. I think it's pretty reasonable to assume it would survive here, having just seen a Hysteria.
There's so many good cards that Glory could have here, but he just doesn't. Like, a Zyrella clear would be huge. Sorry, Samuro would be huge as well. I suppose the Freezing Trap does make that a little bit more awkward, but his hand is just so clunky right now. It's not doing anything.
I was really looking at the Insight last turn to just find him Zyrella, potentially. And all of these minions are below Shadow Word Ruin range. He can stall with the Wave of Apathy, but what's he doing with that stall? Just playing a Sethic? Okay, I guess it's gonna be the Mage Scribe instead, sure. Poison hurts big time here.
Yeah, what are you even hoping for here? Holy Smite to clear it off, I suppose?
Oh, Condemn! Okay.
It's pretty good, I guess, just to clear off the watch post.
Yeah, I think it's time for that boy to go. It's been there far too long.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there for 5 turns too many, if you want my opinion.
Wow, the stunner's kind of brutal here. Alutemu can save his poison.
Save the poison, overdraw a card from Glory as well. It's looking a lot nicer than it was the last game, and even then, I still think, as awkward as it is, as clunky as Glory's hand has been, I still think he's in a fine spot, actually. He's got double Shadow Word Ruin to deal with, the Golems, to deal with Cargel later on as well. As soon as he dumps some hand space, which I guess actually, you know, upon reflection makes sense why he did go for Desperate Prayer, he would then be able to play Ysera, get some of those cards rolling, and actually get ahead on the board at long last.
Yeah, it's really the fact that Alutemu's next threats from this point onward, I think Glory correctly identified, are going to be the Golems. So the Shadow Word Ruin is absolutely essential to Glory's survivability.
Yeah, big fan of Shadow Step Kazakus here. It makes a huge amount of sense. And you may as well play the Great Golem here. You're not going to get any better in terms of raw stats than Divine Shield and Copy.
Wow, he is going through this real quickly.
I mean, it looks like he got the exact same minion of Divine Shield Copy once again, which is, again, fantastic. There are a few ways that Priest has access to deal with these. Unfortunately, Glory has 2 of one of the few ways to deal with them.
It's going to be rough for Alutemu, that's for sure.
Rally?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at that. Because he will get most likely a Scorpid back. And has he played a Scythic? I can't even remember.
I don't think so. He's played a Wand Maker, right? Which might come back. But if that happens, that's fine. It's still a good turn.
Yeah, especially since the other spell, it's going to be a while before you can corrupt that. So for Alutemu, he's like, okay, if I'm him, I've just seen the Shadow Word Ruin, so I'm going to go again.
Seems as good a time as any. The Scorpion is annoying. Like, you obviously want to go Golem Mankrik on this turn for perfect mana utilization. But I suppose you could bounce it back and burn a card instead.
I think I would probably just trade Kazakus at that point, but Alutemu disagrees. Okay.
It's very slow. Like, if they spend the turn replaying Venomous Scorpid and you get to hit them for 14, you are ecstatic.
True. Probably just caster visioning on the second Shadow Word Ruin. And Alutemu, it works out really good for him. I mean, relatively, because if there is the second Shadow Word Ruin, you would much rather have had the Kazakus just stick and keep attacking. Ooh, Soul Mirror?
Yeah, we are definitely taking that Soul Mirror. It doesn't matter how expensive your hand is, Soul Mirror does what nothing else can.
Yeah. Oh, Alutemu is very stressed out to see that, but kind of like Tom in the sense that he still takes it with a good-natured reaction.
Oh, that was a quick Hysteria.
I think it's pretty much the pick, right?
Again, I mean, I'm so focused on, like, getting a board. Like, I wanted Psych Split. I kind of wanted Powered Fortitude there. I guess the Hysteria is kind of where your head's at. But that was, I guess there's more minions than I was expecting in hand. It was still like a 4/3 mana +3/+5. It's a decent card.
Sure. I just kind of understand that from Glory's perspective. There's a Hunter Secret, so Samaro's probably not going to get much work done with Apotheosis. You don't have Zarella, so after Soul Mirror, you still need something because Rogue hasn't played Jandis nor Cargel yet.
Alright, I'm on board. Viable found, though, that is some of that burn that we were talking about, that this Secret Rogue is lacking no longer.
This is the best passage I've ever seen. I mean, he got almost all just further generation.
Yeah.
And it's so good that he's not even going to play the Swindle, apparently. Or just thinking about how much hand space he'll have at the end of this.
I mean, he's going to be very low on cards in deck anyway. I think that Swindle will be found very promptly anyway.
Just 3 posts in hand. He can take a full post turn and just build up the Cargol once it appears. Yeah, this is a situation like what I ran into playing this matchup. The Secret Passage, the second one, might not even need to be played because of how consistent the Spark Joy plus Dirty Tricks package is.
Oh boy, are we already at the stage where you have to go Soul Mirror?
Nah, it's a double Hysteria looks okay here, right?
Sure.
Or even a single one, depending how well it goes on what secrets appear. It's just the Soul Mirror is so important for Kargal.
Yeah, that's the big one, isn't it? Okay, fine.
Yeah, Rally, I think the 4 damage is not scary enough to warrant... I mean, Hysteria only clears 1 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is this the post turn? Oh, there's a Jandis. That's got to be the play then, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at that Jandis very heavily. Like, Jandis Mancrick post. Like, it's so much stats that you can load onto the board. Maybe even hold back the Mancrick and just go double post hereafter because you have so much threatening power on the board anyway.
I mean, at that point, your board is almost full, so I don't think you need the double posts.
Fair, yeah.
What I'm interested in is not even caring about this Scorpion. Alutemu has Fireball, Wicked Stab. You just want to push face at this point.
So much damage, huh?
Oh, but looking at it again, the freezing being kept intact is really valuable as well because of Samuro Apotheosis being a threat. So upon closer inspection, Alutemu is going to clear the full board and rely on this one to get through. And it looks like a pretty reliable board, to be fair.
It does indeed. Now I am looking a little more heavily at that Soul Mirror. I suppose Hysteria, again, is still something you can look at, assuming that the Rumbling Elemental is the real one, the non-illusioned one. You can consistently get a decent board clear, but he's saying it's too much. Time to build myself a board while clearing off my opponents as well.
I am trying to figure out how all these secrets interact with Soul Mirror. I mean, I wanted to know whether it would attack the Noble, then attack the 3-4. Probably just the Noble, but we'll never know.
Oh, wow. I mean, the Hysteria plan would have gone disastrously wrong because Alutemu deliberately picked the bad minion to make real instead. Oh!
But does he have time? 9 damage on board, 12 in hand. Oh.
This is going to be really close.
So the Kargal currently summons 2?
Yeah, you kind of want to juice it up for another turn, right?
I mean, at this point, like, you've seen the Soul Mirror. I'm pretty sure 3 5/5s just gets the job done in most situations.
Maybe.
Well, you've seen a Soul Mirror, to be fair. I mean, there could still be Zyrella.
Obviously, the other thing
against both Zyrella and Soul Mirror, like, the number of 5/5s doesn't quite matter so much, right?
That's true. That's a good point. It looks like instead he's digging for, I would guess, Enraged Mancrick as the main thing. If you know, playing it for 3 mana, more than happy to do that for extra damage through to the face here.
Oh, he can also step Mancrick if he likes, or the Wand Thief. You take Font here?
Yeah, Font's a lot of value.
Yeah. Not active this turn, but later. Yeah, looks like he's gonna step the Mancrick, dagger down the Pole Celt, push more damage. Still has not felt the need to play the Kargal, which is really smart to bait out this removal from Glory.
Looks like he got everything in as well. Playing lightning speed at the end there, and a Fireball to close this one out may just be enough. Mancrick and Mancrick Enraged are both that little bit too awkward for the Soul Mirror to deal with. We are looking for Samuro right here.
Pretty much the only one. Elusia's too expensive to go something like Soul Mirror than Elusia so that they don't have their burst in hand just for that one turn. I'm just not seeing it.
Well, there's a couple of things you can do here, right? Obviously, you have the Hysteria on the Enraged Mancrick to try and clear things up. You could Apotheosis your Watch Post first and hope it gets bumped into a couple of times to heal up.
That seems fun. I like that. Yeah, I was just knee-jerk reaction on Soul Mirror, but that probably does not get enough done because it leaves both the Mancricks up still, and then there's Burst in hand, so I like where your head's at.
Okay, he's going about it a slightly different way, but the same core plan here.
The ambush! What's gonna happen, Dirk? Van Crick just killing himself, I guess.
That wasn't bad, all things considered. It cleared off a lot of damage and gave him a little bit of heal. Could have been better, but it leaves him 8, 9, 10 alive on board?
Alive, including the fireball as well.
Even including the fireball, yeah.
Yeah, Alutemu has 16, as far as I can see. Font of Power maybe gives him one thief. Nope, Sage, you do not want to drop. Oh, do you want to draw because of Mankrik? But he's had too many secrets activate, so that's going to fatigue him.
But that doesn't matter, right? Doesn't this just win him the game?
But there's no mana to play both Sage and Fireball at this point.
Oh, right. It's just that little bit too expensive. Oh, brutal.
Oh, man, it's so close. That means Glory has another turn to potentially top deck Samuro. He has Apotheosis, the second one still in hand. Oh, man. Alutemu, I think he just goes like the 4/4 here that copies.
Yeah.
After the prize plunder, he has to kill this Ethic. So even if you don't get the copy, I'm saying it's okay.
Yeah, sure. I mean, whatever. Just as long as you kill the minion here that has Apotheosis on it, then I think you're okay. That's the important part.
It goes Watch Post instead, buffs up the potential Kargal even further. And Glory, you can take a look at what's left in his deck. There's still a lot of cards to hope for Zyrella or Samuro.
3 mana Samuro means that if he draws, it would be a 5 mana Samuro, so it's too expensive to be able to go Samuro Apo. That's brutal. That would heal him all the way to full.
It just doesn't work. He has to Soul Mirror this, and Alutemu has the check. He has the Kargal. And I think Glory knows it. Like, Alutemu has basically no cards left in deck. One of them is Mankrik, so...
Oh, and the most brutal bit is that if that had corrupted his insight, he would be able to draw play Samuro, even though it would cost 3. But because it didn't corrupt it, because the insight cost 1 more, he can't corrupt it and can't draw a cheap enough Samuro. He almost had the trick to make that one work.
Oh, you're right. I mean, he has the Soul Mirror here, right?
Oh!
Okay,
that's so brutal!
It actually gets rid of everything but the 2/3 if he just plays it here. I mean, I'm not counting the Watch Posts as minions, so from his perspective, might be able to survive. Oh, the Devouring misses the Keeper Pole Celts, and Alutemu, after a long fought, another game, going all the way to basically fatigue, wins the matchup from the other side as well.
That is how you do it. Alutemu showing unbelievable skill with the rogue here. I loved the way that he approached this. He was getting just the right amount of damage on board every turn. Keeping up that freezing trap against the potential of Samuro was just inspired play, even coming at the cost of pushing extra damage to the face. It meant that even in the worst case scenario, he was still just in that position where he'll be able to lock down the board, damage face every turn, and win the matchup on both sides. That takes a truly incredible amount of skill.
Such a masterclass from Alutemu. I mean, I could go on and on about the skill that he displayed from everything, macro, micro, discover choices, golem choices, but again, we have to go back to Glory's turn 2 choice to not kill off the Watch Post on the other side. It had so many repercussions throughout this game. I can't even outline just all the rippling effects that it had.
Just felt like, honestly, Alutemu was outplaying him there. It's a difficult thing to do against our current world champion, but so far, it's over a game like this that's really long, the minute differences that really start to rack up. And to be fair, you know, Glory found some good lines. The Apotheosis optimized with the Sethic as well to get a bit of extra generation, and then healing back up as well. He came very, very close to making it happen, but again, there have just been these couple of slip-ups from Glory. His sequencing earlier on against Tiz in his clearing with the Paladin. Now in this game, you know, decisions that didn't look necessarily wrong in the moment, but because of the way things shook out and Alutemu's plays, which you can kind of expect against this version of Secret Rogue, just ended up going so badly.
And it all comes down to this now. Alutemu, throughout the weekend, we've seen him on this rogue, on this priest, performing super well. And that one time the mage was left up, he also managed to pull out a very impressive victory without having the deck of Lunacy active. So the one deck that we haven't quite seen him pilot to, I guess, a spectacular height just yet is this Paladin. But if there's any player that will give Alutemu a big hurdle to try and get over, it is certainly world champion and practice partner Glory.
Yeah, that's right. It's a deck that leaves a little bit less room for creativity. I think it's a fairly standard deck. You know, you're mulliganing for most of the same cards in the early game with Sword of the Fallen, 1-drops, buffs, and then in the late game it gets a little bit more tricky. But once you learn the sequences that you're going to be facing down, you can quite rapidly start to figure out what the appropriate late game sequencing will be with Pen Flingers, Librams of Wisdom, Liadrin, and all of that good stuff. On the other side, though, we're going to see Glory once again piloting that rogue, and this is what is generally said is the point of this rogue here. It is designed specifically to beat Paladin. So if Glory cannot get the win with his secret rogue designed just for this matchup in mind, I'm just going to lose my mind. Alutemu will be a deific entity to me.
I mean, he'll be the world champion killer at that point.
True.
Just give him the crown and the trophy for this year. It's already done.
Decent start. 1-drop sword. Alutemu knows it as well. Yep, quite right.
I think he knows about our new highlight feature that we have in Grandmasters. It's just giving us the most gestures possible, and I am so here for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've made some memes in my time where I edited some different hand gestures in there for Alutemu, but maybe not for broadcast. Yeah, very good start here for Alutemu, getting the Wand Thief online. I kind of like the look of Oasis Ally, actually. It's just a strong tempo card. Like, you kind of need to shift it in your head into one of those cards that is just good. When you see it, you should be happy.
It's never really been that way with Mage Seekers, right? But I completely agree. It also quite fits well with Alutemu's curve. I mean, he had the Psychic Conjurer anyway to fit with one of the 2-cost cards, but it gives him that flexibility, you know, and you can almost certainly rely that Rogue will be attacking your minions at some point. This is not the Priest matchup anymore.
I love that he's not getting flustered here as well. It was kind of tempting to go with Hand of Adal just to try and protect this minion so that it can take out the Watch Post next turn, but that draws another card which gets more expensive, whereas this draws and plays a bad card from your deck in the secret, so it means those draws are going to be more consistent, and next turn he will very likely be able to clear this up and move on happily with his game plan.
Very true. The sword, getting that online as early as possible is just so important. It makes the turns awkward from every point onward after it hits the board. And once you hit the saturation of all 3 secrets, you kind of force them to bite the bullet. However, the Hand of Adal still has that same problem you were talking about, where if it gets played, it's going to make the draw immediately after more expensive. So there's actually an option here to go Libram of Wisdom instead with the swing for the clear, and then he can fit in, say, Psychic Conjurer.
I think I like just taking one card that gets more expensive with Hand of Adal. If you're going to go with the clear route here, which you don't have to, again, Oasis Ally is kind of a third way you can go about it, but if it's the clear route, you take a minion that you make your Wand Thief can't be cleared off on board by the dagger, and you just keep that damage coming face turn after turn.
Yeah, I think it works out better this way because, like you said, if you just take that 1 mana less on a card in hand as opposed to your minion on board immediately dead, it feels like a bad deal. Alutemu is smiling at something, and it must be the Jandis.
Just got Jandis. I mean, I saw that come into his hand, and my brain has been so corrupted by so many Jandis being played. I was like, oh yeah, that looks about right. Just drew a Jandis. Perfectly fine there. Getting it from the Psychic Conjurer is insane.
I agree. I thought it was just in his deck as well, but he's Paladin. Oh my goodness, Glory can just get out of this game. You said you would lose your mind if Alutemu wins the super favorable for Glory. Get ready to lose your mind for like the 5th time this weekend, Dark.
I know, yeah. It's starting to lose some meaning at this point as my mind has well and truly been lost, but I don't know. I just don't know how Alutemu keeps doing it.
His Avenge is so nuts too. Like, Glory just doesn't have an answer. Does he have to... Oh, he can't just stun a Wand Thief, right? That feels so terrible.
I mean, you can. You test for Yogg first, because like if Dirty Tricks activates, fine. And then you have to do it at this point. You don't want to be tanking 4 here, and then you just pray that they have that one weakness, which often is the case on turn 4 against Paladin. It's kind of the one point where they don't have these powerful plays most of the time.
What do you mean? This is on curve.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I just can't wait to see Glory's reaction to Janda's next turn. Hearthstone has turned me into a cruel person.
Yeah, you're just swinging face here because you don't want to proc the potential bamboozle.
Correct. Only one of which are in both these players' rogue lists.
Well, this is still perfectly fine. Again, this is the one thing that you are allowed to do against Paladin Secrets is play minions and go face. Nothing can stop you from doing that in the standard suite of Galloping Savior, Oh My Yogg, and the Avenge. So a perfectly reasonable turn here to just load up on the stats. And even a Flame Strike later on, like, this game is still very winnable for Glory. We've been beefing up how good of a situation Alutemu is in, which he obviously is. But it's not game over yet.
Is it really not Janda's here?
Oh.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, the Liberal Wisdom is a pretty big deal here.
Fair enough. Even if it does proc Glory's Secret, the value trade onto Mancrick is a little bit too juicy.
That's the kind of thing that we're looking at to swing this one around, though. You know, Mancrick coming down on board here, very big deal. Prize Plunderer, potentially with Shadow Step as well. This is getting pretty interesting all of a sudden.
Yeah, the Prize Plunderer is a very big deal, but Glory has to be careful because he has full knowledge that this is Yogg and Galloping Savior because they each only run one Avenge. So starting with the two... Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
What?
Oh no!
Oh my god!
Oh my Yogg, Darren.
Oh!
Will be your death.
Disaster!
That's terrible! Is he even
That is
overloaded?
terrible.
Does that overload him? No.
No, yeah, it's not Forked Lightning. I was kind of thinking the same thing, but no, not in this instance.
Okay, well, gotta rein it back in, swindle, Prize Plunder, and then you stump the Plunder to kill the Galloping that comes off.
Sure.
Ay, feels so bad though.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, stepping it, you can't kill the Truth Seeker quite yet.
Oh, he could just leave it on board, kill this. Sure, I can respect that. It uses the attack from the Mancrick. Although, I'm concerned about what the is from this point onward, but Alutemu is just a gamer. Such a gamer.
Oh, you truly love to see it. I mean, not the best outcome there, with only 2 4/4s being generated with Rush as well.
Oh, come on.
5 mana. But yeah, it's still disgusting.
And imagine, this is the rogue deck that I can only assume that the two of them put their very, very big brains together to come up with a strategy to consistently beat up on Paladin. Just make sure they have that matchup locked up because almost everyone is going to bring Paladin. And it ends in such a way where their complete mirror, Alutemu gets the Giga Unfavorable in a 3-0 sweep. Am I calling it too soon?
I mean... No, but at the same time, like, it's not necessarily over yet. Like, if you look at Alutemu's hand, his follow-up is not that powerful here. He, if Glory is able to get on the board before he dies, he can stabilize this. But this passage just does not give him that possibility.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Oh...
It's just too much damage. Alutemu doesn't need follow-up. He just has, what is it, 16 on board? So literally... a Light's Justice and a Pen Flinger away from lethal.
Choose soon.
This is the betrayal of the century. Alutemu just saying, long live the king here, and throwing Glory off a cliff as he just 3-0s him in a favorable, an unfavorable, and apparently a giga unfavorable here, just demolishing him.
That's the lethal with the Libram of Wisdom. It is guaranteed. Glory just could not get anything done against Alutemu. And even though, yes, Alutemu had some very good outcomes, the turns where he had difficult decisions, he almost 100% nailed them. That was just such a good series to watch from Alutemu, just showcasing why he is so consistent in APAC and the Masters Tour scene as a whole.
Yeah, I could not be happier for Alutemu. And honestly, I imagine Glory probably has the same sentiment. If you were ever going to lose in the finals of this first week, what better way to do so than to someone who has the exact same strategy as you, your staunch friend and practice partner as well. It's probably going to be good emotions all around, I would imagine, for both Gloria and Alutemu, and any Japanese Hearthstone fans who may be watching the English broadcast for whatever reason here. Yeah, just could not be more ecstatic for Alutemu. Very, very well done, and it means that he gets the full suite of 5 points here in the at the end of this week 1 of Grandmasters, which puts him in a fantastic position to start averting his gaze from relegation for the bottom 4 players and start already setting his sights towards playoff, where he may finally get that spot through to the World Championship that he has been more than owed for many seasons now.
And I know it's just week 1, Derek, but this really feels like it's where Alutemu belongs, at the top of the pack. For the longest time, we've been saying Surrender has been the best player in APAC, but every time I see Alutemu on stream, outside of that outlier of a bad performance in Grandmasters last season, it just feels like he's getting better and better. It's really impressive. I just can't overstate that. And for Glory, though, just between the two of them having 9 points and pulling so far ahead of the pack, you have to already consider that this practice group of 2 people might just be the best Hearthstone has to offer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure old Possessi will be knocking